I am 33, live in Quebec, Canada. Here the official language is French, but almost everyone speaks English too. The other day I was shoveling snow on my driveway and my neighbor, F35, was there too, removing snow from her car. We share a driveway and we are very friendly. We always help each other and exchange gifts. I really love having them as neighbors. Their family configuration is, mother, 2 daughters, 1 son and a father. But dad and mom are divorced. So on this day I finally met the father. So he approached me talking in French, and I kinda can speak French, so I tried to maintain the conversation in French to be respectful. He said, "My daughter said you are a very good neighbor, ms fils dit que tu es un très bon voisin," or something along these lines. I replied, "Merci. Elles sont très bonnes aussi." I thought that meant thank you, they are very good too. Again, my French is very limited. That actually means yes, they are very hot too. Or very good to FCK. He started speaking English, and we had a pleasant conversation. Weeks later I watch a video about the worst mistakes you can make in French. This was number 1. So now I know that I said to a Muslim father that their daughters and ex-wife are hot. TL, doctor, my French speaking skills suck, and I said to a man that his ex-wife and daughters are hot when I'm trying to say that they are very good. Elles sont très bonnes, if you speak any French. Edit 1. Some people from Quebec sent me messages saying that this is a France-French expression, or metropolitan French. That is a relief, but not that much. Because I guess they learned French from France, because they are from Lebanon. This was a couple of years ago. After a particularly heavy night out at UNI, I went home with a girl who I'd met in the club. We were obviously both extremely drunk, and I don't really remember how I started talking to her or anything that was said between us, or anything about her at all. Not even her name. But soon enough we were in a taxi and going home. She still lived on campus and was more comfortable going to her place, so we did. She lived in typical UNI accommodation that was basically just a long hallway of identical rooms. Fast forward to a few hours later, probably around 4 a.m., and we've both been passed out for a little while. I woke up and desperately needed the toilet. She didn't have an ensuite, so I headed out into the hallway and found the bathroom a few doors down. I probably should have got dressed into more than just my bright orange boxers before going out into a building full of strangers, but I'm not very smart, so I didn't. I sat on the toilet for a little while and the room was spinning a lot because I was still smashed. Not sure how long I was there because I think I semi-passed out again, but eventually I got up and left the bathroom. This is basically where I realized I'd fucked up and started to panic. I looked up and down the hall at about 20 identical bedroom doors, and had absolutely no idea whatsoever which one was hers. I suddenly became painfully aware of the fact I was almost naked. For about 30 seconds I was kinda in denial and kept telling myself that if I think hard enough then there must be a way out of this situation. Obviously I quickly realized there wasn't one, so I took a guess at one door that I thought was vaguely in the area I'd come from. A girl in a dressing gown answered the door looking extremely confused and a little scared at finding a stranger in his underwear knocking on her door at 4 a.m., so I quickly apologized profusely, and basically begged for some help finding the room I had come out of. Luckily she saw the funny side of it and was super friendly, so she said she was happy to help and asked what the name of the girl I had come home with was. I didn't know what her name was, so I had to apologize profusely again for being such a scummy idiot that I didn't even know the name of the girl I had gone to bed with. Again she luckily saw the funny side of it and said it happens to the best of us, just tell me her hair color and I should be able to narrow it down from there. I couldn't even remember her hair color. I had a vague feeling that it was a dark color, so I said that, and she said oh okay I know who that will have been, and knocked on a door a few down from her own. Another confused and worried girl answered the door and asked her friend why the hell are you knocking on my door at 4 a.m. and who is this almost naked boy? We basically repeated the process again and the new girl said she knew who had been out tonight and almost certain which one of them would be the type to have come home with someone so clearly stupid as me, so she knocked on another door. Another random person answered the door. I wish I could say this went on even longer for comedic effect, but this last girl did actually know which girl I had come home with because they were friends, so finally she knocked on the correct door. The girl I had come home with answered the door and was very confused as to why I was out in the hallway with 3 of her friends, but they all quickly saw the funny side and had a good laugh about it while I just snuck back into her bed and buried my head in the pillow for a while. I still cringe when I think about it now. Thankfully I was so drunk at the time, because if I hadn't been I probably would have just died of embarrassment. TLDR, got drunk and went home with a girl, forgot which room was hers and got locked out in the hallway almost naked. Had to try 4 different doors before finding her. This actually happened 3 days ago, but today is my day off, so I have time to write this. I am a doctor in a hospital. One of the procedures we do is called a bone marrow biopsy. It is a procedure where we go inside the bone, where the factory of all blood cells is, and get a sample. It's done in the room at the bedside. No need for an operating room or anything. We usually use a special needle to get into the hip bone from behind as the patient is lying flat on their face. It sounds scary, but it's a fairly minor procedure. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Today I had to do this for one of my patients. Usually I require some assistance. Someone to hand me things when I am sterile and to take things from me. Anyone can do it. Usually I have an eager medical student and I explain what I am doing as I go so he can learn. Today, I didn't. So I asked for help from one of the nurses and they gave me one of the travelers who are there to help. While I am prepping the field and getting ready, I said how thankful I was for her to come and help. I had never seen her before, and I know the floor nurses fairly well at this point. That's when she told me she is a traveler. I asked if she is a hemo-NC nurse and she said no. I asked if she ever saw a bone marrow biopsy and she also said no. I then asked if she had had lunch and she said no. So I decided it was a good idea to warn her. I said something like, just as a heads up, a lot of people seeing this for the first time get woozy, so if you start feeling it, let me know. And it's true, I have had a few nurses, med students, aides get woozy. Something about the needle pushing through the bone that gets to people. There is a scratching noise that you can audibly hear as the needle rubs against the surface of bone. People feel it in their core. It's also a very forceful procedure. Bones are hard and I have to apply a great deal of force to make my way in there. And also the fact that when we pull out the marrow, we are technically pulling fluid out of a vacuum, and that can sometimes be painful to the patient, and some viewers to behold. Boy oh boy did she not like that. She rolled her eyes and huffed and puffed at me and said, "Don't you worry about that, honey," with the full weight of the condescension that honey can carry. I have been a nurse for 15 years, don't remember the exact number, but definitely more than 10. I have been a trauma and ER nurse for most of it. I have seen metal spikes and machetes pulled out of all sort of holes on patients' bodies. I think I will be alright. She was intentionally rude and antagonistic. I stopped for a second and looked at her, trying to decide how to respond. But after a split second I decided it wasn't worth it. I am not a confrontational person normally, and I have been around long enough to know that it's not worth it to engage. So I just said okay. I genuinely didn't really care. I just wanted to finish my procedure in peace and move on to my next patient during my very busy day. Well, what do you know? Minutes into the procedure, I got my needle into the bone marrow space and I am starting to pull out the liquid marrow. This is the painful part. The patient grunted and I apologized. Not much I can do about this part. All of a sudden I hear a thud. I turned around to find said nurse on the ground out cold. I call her name. Nothing. This was obviously a problem. I had to leave my sterile field, interrupt the procedure and get help. The other nurses called a rapid response, which is an overhead page that we typically call when a patient is looking ill suddenly and we need extra hands. The nurse ended up in the emergency department. She is thankfully alright. Edits. Wow, this blew up. A lot of people saying this isn't my fuck up. My point is that I fucked up by letting her assist me when she has never seen this before. I also fucked up by warning, only in that I got a lot of attitude back and it didn't prevent anything. There is also the technicality that as the doctor, anything that happens on my watch, during my procedure, is my fault. There is a responsibility that comes along with doing this. So I see it as my fault. Thank you all for sharing your bone marrow biopsy stories. I tried to read most of them. If you haven't had one, I hope you never do. Edit 2, I have not seen her back on the floor in the few days since her passing out. I don't suspect she will ever be back. I am not sure exactly how they assign travel nurses, but I suspect that if she is able to, she will avoid the hemo-NC floor as long as her contact here lasts. However, I see her, and if we talk, I will come back and spill the tea for those who are interested. TL, Doctor warned my nurse that some people faint watching the procedure she was helping me with. She didn't like that and was very rude. Then she fainted watching the procedure she was helping me with. I logged into Instagram. I had a follow request from a chick I know. Now I already have her on there, so I was curious and I clicked on the page. It was her promotion page for her special content. My brain could not possibly comprehend that this was a scam. I've never put in my bank info so quick in my life. No checking the website, no thought process at all. I wanted to see that special content. It's obvious by now that I am a man and cannot think rationally when boobies are involved. That is a fact. Sorry boy, you know that this is true. Well, my bank actually has a brain and my card detected fraud and my card was cancelled. I have no gas for the week and I have to work tomorrow, not to mention all of the other various adult activities that I have to do, but clearly, I am not competent enough to do. I will use this downtime to reflect on my choices and try to use better judgment. Obviously, until the next time that boobies and the hopes of seeing them are factored into the glorious equation. Hello horny jail. Nice to finally meet you. TLDR, I entered my bank info into an obvious scam to see boobies and now I have no access to my finances.